We're on the ocean, sailing away.
What happened? You left San Diego and now you're on a boat? This is
I needed a break, a time for myself to think.
You're gonna sport with the
So
Leviathan?
I like to take the little boat out,
Okay.
pretend to be fishing. The ocean. They say there's no Ain Hara in the ocean because no one can see the fish, or something in that nature.
Ah, well, if you see Jonah's whale, let us all know. I mean, I think that would definitely be something that would go viral if Jonah's whale just shows up. Impressive. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
We're at I believe it is 15, episode 15 here.
It's
Torah
15.
Chat, Torah Chat Live, which is a beautiful thing, where Ami and myself are digital chevrusa. We study together. We're study partners all the way back from the San Diego days. Now we might be in two different geographic regions, but here we are studying Torah together, living our best life. And of course, what are we working on? We're working on Chumash, on the five books of Moses. We are just in the second book of the five books of
Look.
Moses. So we're in Shemos, Exodus, and we're starting with the first Parshah in the book of Shemos. Very exciting.
I feel that your book is bigger. Is it bigger?
Uh,
Is it? It's the same book, or
Do
I feel like it's wider. That's interesting. Mine, look, it's like, well,
is it how many finger breaths is it? Mine is
if I put
one thing.
maybe just the cameras, I don't know. It's just
The the distance. It might be the distance in the internet. Yeah.
I got
Okay.
it. It's the same book. Okay. No,
The
I
same.
thought maybe I was someone's told me short and
No,
I'm
heaven
missing some
forbid.
pages.
Maybe you're in Shemos though, right? Yeah.
Yes, I am. There's
Beautiful.
555 pages or
You want to
something.
check? You want to check?
557, 8, 9, 8, 7, 7.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay. I
yeah.
feel better now. I feel better now. Okay.
Wow, we would have had to just reshoot the whole episode. I mean, you couldn't go get another book because you're on a boat.
Why is it called Shemot? I'm throwing a trivia thing. Why is it called Shemot? When it's why is it called Shemot?
You asked it 3 times. Do I have an answer for you? No, I don't. If you ask it one more time, do you think I'm gonna come up with an why is it
No,
called exit? Why is it called Exodus?
I'm waiting for someone in the comments, in the imaginary
Oh,
comments.
we had some comments
Like
last time. Yeah.
we did. No.
Oh, yeah, it was spam comments.
It's about, on the one hand, the Torah many times it counts numbers of it's a number count, like how many people went from here to there, and now they're going to Egypt and everything. It usually counts numbers, but no one wants to be a number. Shemot is like each one of us has a name for Hashem and his own journey. That's an explanation I heard, because it's the names of who did what with all this, and it's just everyone is special. It's not, to keep it short, but I didn't want to interfere with your intro, which is great, by the way.
Oh, you're fine. You are great. You are great. You are
Yeah,
great, Ami.
thanks.
That was our intro. We're in the second book of the five books of Moses, and this is the highlight of my week. I know when I get to spend time with you, Ami, it's the highlight of my week. Again, the mission here on Torah Chat Live, it is a opportunity for us to learn, study together the weekly parsha. But again, like we've said before, if there's just one yid out there, one yid that gets to watch this and is inspired or gets excited about learning and studying Torah, it can be fun. It can be really wonderful time that you get to spend with someone, and you read the text, you read it, and you learn and you grow. We're gonna have some fun. We look at the parsha. We do zoom in on the Rashi. So we read it one time in Hebrew in Lashon Kodesh, and then we read it the translation, and then we dive into Rashi's commentary, which is always interesting. And I think every level of individual, whether you're a 3-year-old or you're 103, you've got something to gain.
Amazing. I think it's worth repeating what I'm going to repeat, that me and you are Baalei Tshuva. we were in our younger days. We're not young now, of course, but
Yeah, it's true.
we were more secular and became more observant. I do want to say that I'm not going to get into the whole thing if people have questions of faith about, because it's tough. It's a radical thing, Judaism, that the infinite God, and he gave a book to. I mean, the whole thing is pretty radical. It takes time to. But I would say this: it's a funny story that Uri Zohar, Zichron Lebracha, was a famous TV director in Tel Aviv, the icon of secular. Didn't care
Ooh.
anything and made fun of religion. And then when he was 40, he met this rabbi that proved to him that there is a God, that the Torah is real, and never. I won't get into the proof. You can, it's online, but he just couldn't answer. He was like, "Oh, I can't believe it. I can't deny this." And but his wife was not interested at all. She was even more than him. She grew in Shomer Tzair, very secular, and she thought, "Oh, come on, religion. It's." And he went to a very smart rabbi, and the rabbi told him, I want you to do this. You're going to buy the Rambam books, and especially the Rambam, the book of the Sefer Hamadai, it's called the book of science. It's a very, Rambam was a famous doctor, and everyone knows him. Also, he's got a big reputation to him, not just as a religious Jew, as someone who was appreciated by kings of the world. And he said, you're going to put that book there and leave the house for a few days. Now, because she's gonna be curious to know what's my silly husband reading. Like she's gonna come to, but she has to look. She's gonna look at it, which is a very smart idea. He told him just leave it there because he thinks for secular people that's one of the most impressive books because it does touch on science, and he was so spot on whatever you want, nutrition, health. Like he's all over in that book about things that even a secular person, even if you're not a person of faith, you would go like, "Wow, this is unbelievable." That the guy was, and she actually read it, and she was a double. She had a doctor and a PhD and another PhD, so she was a very, and she read it and she was blown away. First of all, it took her a lot of time to understand everything he was pointing out, and also she double checked and she checked this and she saw, and she said, "Wow, this is pretty serious." In a way, and in the end, she became much more religious than him. In the beginning, they almost divorced because he became Baal Tshuva and had to cook for himself, and she was not interested to hear one word. And I'm doing a shout out for people to get. If you like Judaism, sometimes it's you got to find connection points. I recommend the Book of Science. I don't know if that's how it's called in English. Sefer Hamada. Is that how it's called? The Book of Science. Anyway, the Rambam. You'll find it. Of course, our producers will link it in the. But it's a great book.
Description below.
Yes, and the Rambam
Send me the
is.
link. Send me the link. I'd like to check it out.
Of course. And but
Thank you.
anyway, the story was for people to say that even if you have a certain contempt, I call it contempt before investigation about your own Judaism, about Torah, about you gotta drop it. Try and drop it. Try because it comes. Usually, it comes if you go back. If I go back to myself, where it comes from, it doesn't come from a great
Your audio.
sages. There were smart people, and as I said, read it with fresh eyes. Try to listen to this without all preconceptions, and that's also what I aim to do here: to have people look at it and say, "Oh, I thought it's this, but maybe I misjudged it. Maybe that's my
Beautifully
intro."
said, beautifully described. That's lovely. Because last night I was watching the famous his the famous atheist Richard Dawkins, and it's a debate with him and of blessed memory Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs,
Mm,
and in it was very interesting because Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs opens really with a we're not in a we're not in opposing we're not in an opposing realm. We as the Jewish people have for many centuries and many millennia embraced understanding of the physical and natural world and the sciences and the like we very much enjoyed those places, but the thing is that they have often come from already a foundation of understanding that Torah is MS, the Torah is as truths beyond one individual's capacity to learn them and become an expert in them. We have many Talmidei Chachamim, but even they are very humble in their. We have incredibly knowledgeable scholars of going back many generations, and I think you will find that many of them will communicate, hey, I am no master of all this content, of all this of all these truths, but many of them, like for example the Vilna Gaon. With his expert knowledge of Torah, he was able to expound that in understandings of the natural sciences of the secular. It is absolutely phenomenally exciting when you get to that point. You realize, wow,
Yeah.
wait a second. Um, I love it. I love the way that you look at it. Come at it with an open mind, because I think we're often the folks that I've met that have maybe been like quick to shrug up. And I think what's also really exciting when I meet a guy like you, right, is there's a life that we've lived, and we were exposed to information in our lifetime that tried to convince us of the other truths. And in all reality, after being exposed to this information, the truest, most incredible thing is I come back to Torah. I find it's wild, you learn about things in the science world. It's like, okay, these are theories. And then every 5, 10, 15, 20 years, more information comes out, and this theory gets disproven, or this argument. And yet there are eternalities in Torah.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely blown away. And with that, let's begin
Let's do it.
Sefer Shemos. So we're in Exodus, the Parsha of Exodus. You want to kick us off, Ami?
Sure. Aleph Aleph. Perek Aleph. Pasuk
Ooh,
Aleph.
ooh,
Wow.
hey, hey.
A Captain. Is that a thing? No, it's I.
Aye, but
I don't know.
whatever. I'll take it.
Okay,
Cap.
but
Okay, sails up, anchors up,
I
anchors up.
mean, I don't know both terms at all. Let's continue.
Sink or
I've
swim.
never, I've never really, never.
Sink or swim. But you're on a boat now.
Thank God it's not a real one. Okay, פסוק א', ואלה שמות בני ישראל הבאים מצרימה, את יעקב איש וביתו באו. And these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt. With Jacob, each man and his household came.
Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
All right, I guess it's just names. You
Yeah,
want me to
keep going,
translate?
keep going. Oh yeah, keep going. Yes, I have.
יששכר זבולון ובנימין.
Yeah. All right, so you're not going to translate them. Okay.
Yeah, because it's we don't need to translate them.
It's
These are
okay.
the
It's
names.
okay. I know. Oh, Dan Venaftali, Gad Vasher.
We can just say
Dan,
them with an American
Naphtali,
accent.
Gad, and Asher.
ויהי כל נפש יוצאי ירך יעקב 70 נפש, ויוסף היה במצרים. And all the persons who emerged from Jacob's loins were 70 souls, and Joseph, was in Egypt.
וימס יוסף וכל אחיו וכל הדור ההוא. Joseph died and all his brothers and that entire generation.
ובני ישראל פרו וישרצו, וירבו, ויעצמו במאוד מאוד, ותמלא הארץ אותם. The children of Israel were fruitful, teemed, increased, and became strong. Very, very much so, and the land became filled with them.
ויקם מלך חדש על מצרים, אשר לא ידע את יוסף. A new king arose over Egypt who did not know of Joseph.
ויאמר אל עמו, הנה עם בני ישראל רב ועצום ממנו. He said to his people, behold, the people, the children of Israel, are more numerous and stronger than we.
הווה נסחך מה לו פן ירבה, והיה כי תקרנה מלחמה, ונוסף גם הוא על שונאינו, ונלחם בנו, ועלה מן הארץ. Come, let us act wisely to it, lest it become numerous, and it may be that if a war will occur, it too may join our enemies and wage war against us and go up from the land. Pum, pum,
ויש...
pum.
Uh-oh, demographic issue. וישימו עליו שרי מיסים, למען ענותו בסבלותם, ויבן ערי מסכנות לפרעה את פתום ואת רעמסס. So they appointed tax collectors over it in order to afflict it with their burdens. It built storage cities for Pharaoh, Pitom and Ramses.
וכאשר יענו אויסוי, כן ירבה וכן יפרוץ, ויקוצו מפני פני ישראל. But as much as they would afflict it, so it would increase, and so it would burst forth, and they were disgusted because of the children of Israel.
Very, very famous line. כאשר יענו אותו כן ירבה וכן יפרוץ. Very, very famous line. Used for I will say in many, we'll say later. It's a very interesting line.
Oh,
Okay.
these are
Been used in Jewish history because it says the more they torture the Jewish people, the more they become big. In a way, it was a way to... Anyway, later. Don't want to pause, but just famous, very...
but later.
One of,
But later.
but
I mean,
I can, but I won't. Okay.
thank you.
ויעבדו מצרים את בני ישראל בפרך. The Egyptians enslaved the children of Israel with crushing labor.
וימררו את חייהם בעבודה קשה בחומר ובלבנים ובכל עבודה בשדה אס כל עבודתם אשר עבדו בהם בפרך. They embittered their lives with hard work, with mortar and with bricks, and with every labor of the field. All their labors that they performed with them was crushing labor.
ויאמר מלך מצרים למילדות העבריות, אשר שם אחת שפרה, ושם השנייה פועה. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of the first was Shifra, and the name of the second was Pua.
Read a very interesting thing about that. But maybe we'll
Later.
save it for next year's episode.
I'm just going to say it's very interesting right now. Maybe we'll tell you later.
ויאמר בילדכן אס העבריוס וראיסן על האבניים אם בן הוא והמיתן אויסוי ואם בס היא וחיה. In your assisting the Hebrew, and he said, in your assisting the Hebrew women at childbirth, and you see on the birth stool, if it is a son, you are to kill him, but if it is a daughter, she shall live.
ותראינה המילדות את האלוהים, ולא עשו כאשר דיבר אליהן מלך מצרים, ותחיינה את הילדים. But the midwives feared God, and they did not do as the king of Egypt spoke to them, and they kept the boys alive. God bless them. Uh-oh. That's what you sing. That's what you sing when you do a CPR. Do you know that thing?
Yeah.
They actually teach that in...
this is very educational. I like this.
Courses.
This episode is great.
Because that's the rhythm you do the CPR in, when you push. And you have to sing it to help yourself be in a better mood. And God forbid you have to. Anyway, back to the topic, wise.
Okay,
Okay, Rashi Zoom, but
let's.
let's see what's it. Okay, I guess we're
Which
starting a new book, so we should do the first one, and then we can jump to those
we'll
interesting.
muse around. Okay, okay, okay,
I mean, we don't want to skip the first one.
okay,
That
okay,
would be. I feel it would
okay.
be, as they say in French, faux pas.
Well, we're doing this in English. Ve'ele shemois b'nei Israel, and these are the names of the children of Israel. Af al pi shemenaan b'chayehem b'shemoisam. Although he counted them by their names in their lifetime, Chazal u menaam b'meisasam. He counted them again after their death. Lodia Hibastam, to make known how precious they are to the stars.
To
Hmm?
to him,
Oh, to him. Sorry, I skipped a line.
how precious they are to him. Yeah,
How precious, to make known how precious they are to him. The
yeah.
children of Israel are counted by name. Shenim shelo, shenim
Lu.
shelu lakochavim, because they
Mm.
are compared to the stars. Shemotziam u machnisam b'mispar Shemoisam, which he brings out and brings in by number and by their names. Shene'emar, it says, Amoitzi mispar tzva'am lechulam b'shem mikra. He who takes out their hosts by number, he calls them all by name. What is Rashi trying to teach us here?
Well, two things. First he said about there's many times in the Torah that people are named and counted, like I said, it happens in many parshas. But what's unique here that they're counted twice when we start and when after they're already not with them. So that's special. Just and he said just to see how precious they are. That Hashem has such a high place for them that he mentions them twice, Yosef and all the people who made that story, right? So that's one thing to show how precious they are. It says here in Genesis 35, that's where the first time that they're counted. So usually there's no repetitions in the Torah, and as we know, Rashi, if there's a repetition or a word that appears, he would always go like, "Why didn't you write it less?" Rashi likes less is more. He knows that there's no wasted letter in the Torah. So if something is mentioned twice, there has to be a reason. So this is his reason for why they're mentioned twice, because they were so precious. And the thing with the stars,
I mean, it's the commitment. It's the commitment in their
so
in footnote
right,
three. Footnote
right,
three
right,
talks about it.
right. הבט נא השמיימה וספור הכוכבים, תוכל לספור אותם. כה יהיה זרעך. Gaze now towards the heavens and count the stars. If you are able to count them, so shall your offspring be. So that's the thing, I heard, I'm going to say something without getting, well, stars, what the people of Israel are compared to the stars. What stars, there are many, but we don't see all of them, right? We see some of them. They shine for a very long time. They're very bright in the night sky. It's like Hanukkah message. Their light is in the darkness. They're there. And what I said in the beginning, he doesn't just say how many they are. He just goes over all the names once again. Because even we know that even though there's a lot of stars in the galaxies, we know the stars in our solar system. We also give them names, right? Because stars, unlike, by the way, sometimes it's compared when the Torah talks about big numbers, it uses stars and sand. But no one gives names to sand. No one is, as far as I know. Maybe someone is, because sand is kind of, there's all the same. It's all the same. But stars, the metaphor of stars, each star is a bit special. It has a different light. They work like in what we call constellations. And this is a certain constellation of people, of Joseph and these people that are like we said, after the forefathers of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they start the story. They are the first, the pioneers, and
Yeah.
they are mentioned by name. And the book is called Names. He could have just said the number, which he does say, the 70, He could have just said, because the Torah sometimes just says the number. But here, as we said, they're so important. Each one of them represents something in the soul of Israel. Each one of them has a big meaning, so they're mentioned by name. I think that's what it is about the stars. That's what I got.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I wonder what I guess what commentary we could. 'Cause
Zoom
I don't
in
believe
on.
it's. Yeah, I suppose maybe a footnote for us to revisit if I can get the
Mhm.
answer from one of the rabbis here at the Kollel in
About the
Tucson.
stars. About the stars, you mean?
Well, no, they mention they don't mention Joseph until then. They talk about and Joseph was in it, and then Joseph dies,
Mm.
and so it's like they mention the Shvatim, they mention Yaakov, where the Shvatim come from, where the tribes, the 12 tribes come from, and they mention 11, right?
Hmm.
They don't mention Joseph yet until, or it's Joseph's not mentioned yet until line 5, and then also Joseph's sons Menashe and Ephraim, they become like they get like as if like right at the close of last week's parsha, they're given the blessing, and they become they rise to the level of like Shvatim. They become like tribes,
Mm.
Ephraim and Manasseh. They get like a land. They get a land in Eretz Israel.
Right.
But it's interesting. Regardless, okay. I think okay. Here, maybe it says it in this commentary. Vayosef haya b'Mitzrayim, and Joseph was in Egypt. Ve'alo hu uvanav b'chol shiv'im, where he
Bichlal.
and his son bichlal shiv'im, were he and his sons not among the 70 souls mentioned earlier in the verse? Uma ba lelamdeinu. What does the Torah teach us by mentioning Joseph specifically? So he calls out Joseph specifically from his brothers. It could not be the fact that he was living in Egypt. וכי לא היינו יודעים שהוא היה במצרים. For would we not have known that he was in Egypt? Ela, but this clause is included. Loidiecha tidkaso shel Yosef, to inform you of the righteousness of Joseph. Hu Yosef haroeh es soin aviv. He was Joseph who tended the flocks of his father. Hu Yosef shaya b'Mitzrayim v'ne'asa melech. And he was the same Joseph who was in Egypt and became a king. Ve'oimed b'tzidko. Yet he stood firm in his righteousness despite the radical change that happened in his life.
Hmm.
Okay, so he gets singled out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because of, actually, that I guess they say each one of the characters in the Chumash, in the first especially, revealed something else about Hashem and how to work for Hashem. You know, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Yosef was that because Yosef was alone in a strange land, in prison, in like a situation that most people would really not withstand, even for maybe a year, to keep the covenants with Hashem and keep a high moral, and he kept it for so many years. In I think that's his main. Maybe they're emphasizing that because that's his main thing. That he was able. That's like Yosef Atzadik was righteous because he was in such a circumstance that most people would become act like animals. Let's put it that way. In prison and being enslaved and
Oh, even
alone.
and before that, when he was in the
Right.
problem of Ehud with the Potiphar's
Right. That
wife, that whole
tempted. He was
situation.
a young, handsome man, and
Yeah,
all the women they say they were used to run after him, and he kept his
and look at him. Yeah, they would like stare at his glory, his beauty.
and he did not take advantage of that.
Uh, uh Yosef
Mhm.
Atzadik.
You know, it
Okay.
says about I heard this, and I heard this yesterday about the next verse. It says "Vaishiritzu," which is a word like when people have lots of babies, and the commentary Rashi says, and it appears in some other places, and that the Jewish women at the time they had 6 babies at a time in one pregnancy. How do you say it in English? 6 stiplets. That's not how you say it. There's
There,
triplets or driplets. How do you say this in Spanish?
I
Say
that yeah, sextuplets.
sextuplets.
It's sextuplets, and then septuplets would be 7, and then
So they have.
octuplets is 8.
It's like with the. It also again happened in the Torah that certain people are blessed and certain people or certain things are blessed and not blessed, and Hashem
Right.
obviously directs everything. And this is also again, it comes to the theme of jealousy, because like we said, the story Cain and Abel is jealousy for the father. There's a lot of things about jealousy and competition that if used correctly in life is a good thing, but when used bad, it gets the worst out of people. And here, in a way, the Egyptians, this is what got them triggered, that these Jewish people that are the slaves here, they're like, these guys, they're successful. This Yosef, right? Became like the Eved Ivri, like the Hebrew slave, as they called him. He became second to the king, right? And his people, they're having so many healthy babies at a time that, by the way, still babies that were born not alive and stuff was very common, and it never happened. I read extra commentary that made them feel that not only did they have 6 babies at a time, that all the babies were healthy, and like they beat nature. They say Am Yisrael
Wow.
be'ever lamazav. So the Egyptians that were looking at them, and that's why this new pharaoh that came and didn't know Yosef and didn't appreciate him said, "Look, we gotta put an end to this thing." Because that doesn't make me feel good. Jealousy.
It says on the next page. It's very interesting. It's like there's differing opinions. Um, it says here, "Vayakam melech chadash," a new king arose. Rav
Mhm.
Ushmuel, Rav and Shmuel differ about this in the Talmud, like in Sota. Chad Amar Chadash Mamash. One says this means a new king in a literal sense. The Chad Amar, and the other one says that it was the same king who was the ruler during the lifetime of Joseph. The Nischadshu Gzeiro Isav, but he issued new edicts. And then in below that it says, Asher Loyada, Asa, one who did not know, meaning Asa etzmo ki'ilu lo yadu. He
Mhm.
acted as if he didn't know Joseph. In the commentaries below, it's interesting. It's like one opinion says that the verse refers to an actual new king. So you can take
Right.
the phrase "who did not know Joseph" literally, but according to the opinion that this was the same Pharaoh that ruled during Joseph's lifetime, it must be understood to mean that he acted as if he did not know Joseph. And it has here, Mizrahi states that this comment is not independent, but is a continuation of the preceding comment. In fact, his version of Rashi reads, Ve'asher lo yada, with the conjunctive vav added to the biblical text. Accordingly, the flow of Rashi's words is, but he issued new edicts, and the phrase, who did not know, is to be understood as if he acted as if he did not know Joseph. That's, it's interesting. I've always been curious about this because it's like, okay, is it a new, is it a new, and it uses different, it says melech chadash. It was talking about Pharaoh before, and it's
Right.
I'm interested. I'm curious about this.
Yeah. Because the word yadaus in the Torah sometimes means more than just knowing as if you know someone or not. It means intimate knowledge. Like we say that we want to, ladat is a word that, so it might mean, maybe that's why they take it, because in the Torah, the word doesn't mean just know as if, I heard about him. That this king now, because he didn't really know anymore the essence. Yosef was gone, and he didn't know the essence of him, but not that he didn't know about him at all. Meaning the word yada in the Torah has different meanings. Sometimes it can also mean intimate relations between husband and wife. The same word yada. When you know someone intimately, they use the word yada, not just for knowledge. So maybe that king was the same king, but he lost he didn't have Yosef anymore to see his essence and be with that knowing. That's why he was like not under that influence of Yosef's intelligence and everything, and it made him change his opinion about the people. But still, in modern Hebrew, they use the Ledat Yosef. It's like a term that they use when when a new generation comes. They still use it, like when children are born and they don't know what happened before them. They say the Ador Shelo Yadat Yosef, like you don't know what happened before. You're coming to the movie in the middle, like we like to say. Like you're not. They lost track, and yeah, but it's funny that it comes right after when it says, why would it say that the people of Israel was so fruitful? I believe like it hints to this, and there's a new king that either in both options. Before, I mean, Pharaoh kept Joseph in in prison and only took him out when it was beneficial for him because he could interpret dreams and said, "Wow, this is such a wise person," and he had respect for him. But once that respect was lost, and he saw that they're so successful, it didn't treat it with respect, and the respect changed into actually antagonism. Because he could have said also back then, "Oh, Joseph, look at this talented kid. Why don't I kill him right now?"
Well,
Because
I
he
mean, look, it benefited his power. Like
exactly
his people avoided a catastrophic
salvation, right?
a strike of starvation of
Right.
the famine, and it's absolutely miraculous. I mean, like we've seen from Joseph's first experience being sold, to the house of Potiphar. Potiphar's, immediately he's successful, so he's blessed there. Then he's in jail, and he's a phenomenal success running the jail. He runs the jail. The jailer's able to go home. And then as soon as Pharaoh meets him, he's like, oh, "This is amazing!" Like anyone who latches on to him is successful. I, like I,
Right.
I find it interesting because it's like I think a person could draw parallels. Obviously, there's these of our. It's interesting because Paro is going to mention here. That they're becoming many, right? They come, let us act wisely to it, lest they become numerous, and it may be that if a war will occur, too many they'll join against our enemies. So, in light of that, right, like our enemies, and throughout time, they've seen us be successful. Um, why? Because we're representing the truth. Right? We as a people represent truth. We have,
Right.
an eternal truth that we represent, and that we live it. We live Torah, and we teach uh, Torah, that MS. We teach that truth, and I find it astonishing because I'm a big fan of history, love history. Um, our sonenu, our haters, right? See the haters point them out. Our haters, they point out this. Oh, look at the Jewish people. They've been removed from this many countries, wherever they live. And they were kicked out of this country, and this country, and this country, and this country. And it's really interesting. It's like here's Torah saying, basically, Paro is saying, okay, they're multiplying, they're becoming numerous, and it's like it's interesting. It's like this. It's such an irrational thing that he's saying. He's like, they're becoming numerous. They're going to join our enemies, and they may go up from the land. They're going to wage war against us. So they're going to help our enemies, and then they're going to leave. So it's like on one hand, like it's like he's nervous because the Jews are becoming numerous. But on the flip side, he's nervous that they might leave. They might lose us as this asset that they can take advantage of us. So it's
Right.
like shows this duplicitous. And Rashi talks about it. He talks about it here. Maybe not on this page, but on the second side, like Ve'ala min haaretz, and it will go up from the land. Al
Kochenu.
karchenu,
Against our
against
will.
our will. V'raboseinu darshu ke'adam shemekalel etzmo. Our rabbis interpreted this phrase by comparing Pharaoh to a person that curses himself. V'soile kilalaso b'acharim, but directs his curse at others so as to avoid being the object of his own curse. V'hareu kilu kasav. It is as if the Torah had written, Va'alinu min haaretz vehem yirashuha, and we will ascend from the land, and Israel will take possession of it. It's it's really interesting below because it's like here we have like this is a geopolitical,
Right.
geopolitics right here.
Yeah.
Why should this be a problem if the Egyptians were afraid that the Israelites would ally themselves with Egypt's enemies, would it not be to Egypt's advantage for the Israelites to leave? Rashi explains that Pharaoh meant that there would nevertheless be cause for distress on the part of the Egyptians, for the Israelites were in reality their slaves whose servitude they did not want to lose. So there you have it in a nutshell. It's like they we're appreciated when we help them, and yet it's this duplicity. It's like you're an asset. They want to control the ass. They want to control us as a people. When we we're kind of experiencing like a net benefit. We had we help them get through this famine, and you know very quickly within I suppose one generation, it turns into taxes, servitude, hard labor, and it happens very quickly.
Right. It also starts the theme that you're talking about history, that inherently in the Jewish belief system and everything is that we're so loyal to God that we can't be tricked by another king. I'm not, again, no king can come to the Jewish people and say, listen, I control the sun. And they'll be like, all right. Because throughout history, the thing about the Jews, they don't, even though they don't adapt really to any kind of, they have their one king, Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu. They
Sure.
don't, and the rulers don't like it over time. Like you're saying, at the beginning, it's beneficial for them. They can use the,
Right.
but
Spain.
then,
Look at Spain. Exactly. Like
right, exactly. They
whether
don't
whether
become,
yeah
yeah, and they never agreed to convert under the Romans and the Greeks and the Spanish, the
yeah
Portuguese, yeah, and they never, even though they were very beneficial, like we talked about the Rambam,
yeah
very beneficial to Spain, was the doctor of the king of Spain. They enjoyed,
yeah
but once they say, "Hey, we want you to be Spanish and not Jewish anymore, and accept me as your king," you want like, I can't accept you. We only have one king, and the loyalty over 3,000 years of loyalty from the Torah to the one king.
yeah.
That really upsets tyrants.
There you
Tyrants
go.
don't like it. They don't like it. They're like,
And all we're all and it's like what's wild too is like all that we're asking the nations is to follow the Noahide. Like that's like when it comes down to it, right?
mm,
All we're asking the nations, meaning everyone, we don't proselytize. We're not trying to get anyone to convert. We happen to be we're a nation of holiness. We represent Hashem, and all that we ask is that people don't worship false gods, that they recognize that there's only one God, it's
yeah, that's it.
Hashem. No blasphemy, no murder, don't take innocent lives. Um, family, or immorality in forbidden relationships, theft, and not eating unethically slaughtered meat, which
Yeah.
is and having courts of justice. It's like,
All
that's
right.
it. Great. Let's keep it. And then we can have a utopia. But that said, Ami,
Yes.
I have to go to my next class. I have to run to my next class.
I have one comment, 1 minute.
Oh,
Just
one.
1 minute. Because people are going to say, what does this have to do with me? And I just want
Oh,
to say the next line that I said, "V'kasher ya'anu oto ken arbe b'chelifos." He said, the more the Egyptians, as much as the Egyptians tried their hearts to afflict Israel, so the heart of the Holy One, blessed be He, was said to increase them. Meaning, this is I told you a verse that was used many times in history when Jews went through hard times. Said even now, October 7, the more they torture them, they actually excel and rise. And we should take it also as a personal lesson that nothing bad happens. And if you go through a hard time, it's only for you to reach a higher place. And it's a huge Jewish concept that starts here with this famous line. The more you feel people are torturing you or humiliating you, actually, this is your bouncing, a ground for you to bounce higher and go higher and higher. That's what I want to end with before you run
oh
and you
yeah.
go like a cartoon. Can you do the cartoon run again?
You like
I
it?
think
That was cute.
I think we should
That's
make it
cute.
into a meme of you running to chevrutas with all the chevrutas. All right, brother.
See you again next time. Please God on Wednesday.
God willing. God willing, bli neder.
All right.
I have
Am
a
Yisrael
doctor's
Chai.
appointment. I have a little dentist thing,
Oh,
and
okay.
so if I
Well,
could
then let me
talk,
know.
if not, what can we do? All right, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Take care. Take care.
See you.